Acute food insecurity is a situation in which people, due to certain shocks such as conflict or natural disasters, cannot meet their basic food needs, be it in terms of quality and in terms of quantity. And they cannot do so even if they deplete their most critical properties. In 2017, there were 124 million people in 51 countries who were in acute food insecurity. The countries that were most severely affected in 2017 were Yemen, South Sudan, Somalia and North-East Nigeria. As a matter of fact, a famine was even declared in 2 counties of South Sudan in early 2017. Out of the 124 million people in acute food insecurity, 74 million were living in 18 countries where conflict have had a devastating impact. This is about 60% of the total number of people in food insecurity. Besides conflict, natural disasters, climate extreme events, such as drought, for example, also have had a tremendous impact on people's life and livelihoods and food security, as we have seen, for example, in Southern Africa and in the Horn of Africa, where drought indeed has devastated the livelihood of people, has been devastating their crops, and have been massively killing the animals among pastoralist communities. First of all, I think it's important to keep in mind that in these countries that are affected by conflict, for example, the vast majority of the population depend on agriculture for their livelihoods. So when a conflict starts, I mean, it's important to realize that, yes, the most visible part of a conflict is shelling, massive destruction of infrastructure, but it is also having a tremendous impact on people's livelihood and on the agriculture-based livelihood, on the food systems on which people depend. It's also important to realize that for many of these people, when they cannot, when as a last resort they realize that, they don't have access anymore to agricultural inputs or to market, often the solution of last resort, but really the solution of last resort, is for them to move within the country, to become internally displaced people, or for some, across border, when they become refugees and migrants. A report such as the Global Report on Food Crises is telling us that providing humanitarian assistance is absolutely needed, but it's not sufficient. What we need to do is, even in the midst of conflict situation, we need to work at the root causes of this situation. We need to work with the development actors to make sure that the required investments are being made to build people resilience, to build people capacities to cope. Unless we do that, we will see the number of people in crisis and emergency phases in terms of food security keep increasing.